now. Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session looking at Time's Complaint as performed in St John's College, Oxford on the Friday the 1st of January. This is part of a revel season at Oxford, of which we have not only a very full account of what happened, but also all of the various plays, some of which are in Latin, some of which are in English, and I think some bits of it in Greek as well. It's an unfolding story, these plays, but what we're starting off, I'm not going to tell anyone any of the background stuff, particularly about their production, beyond that, it's a student production in Oxford, and it's part of Christmas Rebels type activity. But once we've read the plays that we can read, we're going to go back to the accounts of what happened with those plays at a later date. And also, if we can get them translated, we'll actually look at the Latin plays as well. This is one where getting into what happened when they were staged is almost as interesting as the plays themselves, and that's sort of one of my long-term goals with this particular selection of texts. These texts are sometimes known as the Christmas Prince, which is almost impossible to Google due to various Christmas movies. Reading today, Prince, Bellicoso, Swallow and Opinion is...
Hi, I'm Eric. I had to write those down.
Yes. Reading the personification of time, Manco, Second Servant and Veritas is...
Liza Graham. I am my own daughter? Yes, excellent.
Reading Chamberlain, Clynias, Philonices and others is...
Hi, I'm Desna, and I'm not my own daughter, I don't think.
Yes. And reading Prologue, Sergeant, Spiggot and Servant and Error is...
Hi, I'm Tom from Brighton.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading stage directions and also Studioso as well. There will be points later on where we will be reading parts at the same time as ourselves. It's all going to be very complicated. I told people to bring hats to try and make things less complicated, but we'll see how it goes. Final scene is going to be carnage, but we shall see. So without further ado, let's dive into Time's Complaint, and there is a prologue.
Worthily, here we bring you Time's Complaint, whom we have most just cause for to complain of, for he hath lent us such a little space, that what we do wants much of his true grace. Yet let your wanton love that kindly take, which we could wish were better for your sake.
Act 1, Scene 1. Enter Time with the musicians to place them.
Oh, well said, well said. Welcome, welcome. Faith, it doth me good to see I have some friends. Come, true observers of due time. Come on, a fit of music. But time? Keep time in your remembrance still, or else you jar. These, for my sake, too much neglected are. The world terms them beggars, fiddling rogues. But come, my fiddling friends, I like you well. And for my sake, I hope this company, nay more, the prince himself will like your tunes. Here, take your place and show your greatest skill. All now is well that is not very ill.
Time, expecting the coming of the prince, to whom he preferreth the petition, placeth himself on the stage till the train be passed.
The way he comes, here I will place myself. They say he is an honorable prince, respectful, courteous, liberal, and learned. If he be so, he will not choose but hear me. Poor aged Time was never so abused, and in these days princes themselves are wronged, if not for my sake, yet for his own good he will read over my petition. Oft have the like been drawn and given up to his nobility, but careless they in their deep pockets swallowed good men's prayers. This his own hand shall have, or I will keep it. But here they come. Stand close.
and view the train. Enter first 6 Knight Marshals, men in suitable liveries, with links and truncheons, 2 by 2. Next, the Knight Marshal alone in armour and bases with a truncheon. Then 4 other of his men as before. After these, 4 knights in rich apparel with hats and feathers, rapiers and daggers, boots and spurs, every one his lackey attending on him with torchlight, all 2 by 2. After these, the Master of the Requests, the Master of the Rolls, in vast velvet gowns, with the lackeys and torches up before them. After these, 4 barons in velvet cloaks, likewise attended with lackeys and torches. After these, an herald-at-arms bear with 2 lackeys attendant bearing torches. After these, 6 of the Privy Council in scholars' gowns and civet hoods, every one attended on by a footman bearing on his jacket both behind and before his lord's arms, according to his office, as it was before mentioned, with torches also in their hands. After these, 2 sergeant-at-arms with great maces, and 2 squires before them with torches all bare. After these, 2 henchmen, the one with a sword, the other with a sceptre, likewise attended by 2 squires with torchlight all bare. After these, the prince himself, in a scholar's gown and civet hood, with a coronet of laurel about his hat, attended on by 4 footmen in suitable liveries with torches. After these, the captain of the guard alone in hose and doublet, hat and feather, etc., and following him 20 of the guard in suitable guard coats with halberds in their hands and lights intermingled here and there. When this train first entered out of the prince's palace, there was a volley of shot to the number of 50 or 60 guns. I'm not doing that. And once again, as it passed through the quadrangle, and the 3rd time when the prince was ready to enter upon the stage in the hat, after which the 3rd peal ended the nobility, having passed along some part of the stage, the rest of the train disposed in places provided for them, and the prince himself newly entered, the show went forward as following. Just briefly pause there. A lot of processing there. A lot of people processing. So this is a big Oxford pull all the stops out kind of event, seems to be. 50 or 60 guns. That's a lot of guns. That's a lot of ordnance. So I'm assuming this isn't indoors. I don't know, because we're not going into the backstage accounts yet. But that suggests outdoor performance to me. I don't know. This is yeah. But I like time. I think time's quite congenial. I think that was quite nice. There's some nice things. Time's got a petition. I don't want to necessarily linger here too long before we go a little further into the text, but if anyone's got any thoughts, throw them in now. Otherwise, we will crack on. Okay, enter on the stage the Prince with the Lord Chamberlain and Lord Treasurer and other of his train as Sergeant-at-Arms, etc.
What would this old man have?
God save your honor. I have a poor petition to the prince.
Give it to me. I will prefer it to him.
Oh, no, my lord, I can do that myself.
Avaunt, base peasant, doting fool, be gone. Dost thou refuse my kindness?
No, not so. But I suspect when great men so soon move, 'tis rather for advantage than for love.
Sergeant? Tom?
Am I?
No, it's Tom. He looks frozen to me. I'll read Sergeant for the moment. The Prince will not receive positions now.
Who told you so?
The Lord Treasurer walking with the Prince.
God bless your majesty. Oh, pity me, pity distressed time.
Ooh, do we have a treasurer? I didn't give a treasurer out, did I? I'm doing well.
It's you.
It's me, isn't it? Okay, I'm the treasurer now. Away, thou bawling varlet.
Good your grace, take my petition. Hear my just complaint.
Impudent slave, forbear.
Now, good your grace,
Some officer at hand, convey him hence.
if ever prayers were heard, then hear thou mine.
Give it unto our master requests. We will consider thee at better leisure.
Oft have I given it him, but...
Peace, you rogue, or else.
What importunity is this? Ourself will straight peruse it.
God preserve you.
Is thy name Time?
Yes, and like your grace.
A most lewd fellow, full of all disorders, whom all the land complains of.
But unjustly, as I shall show if you will hear me speak.
Speak freely, man. We grant thee liberty.
Sound out my woes, sad, solemn harmony, for time and music always well agree.
After a flourish of music, Time makes his prologue to the audience.
Time, the observed of all that mean to thrive, craves your attentive silence and goodwill, whilst out of these sad registers of woe he takes a true account of all his cares. Sorrow will speak, though 'tis some, though small, relief, to have free liberty to tell our grief.
Time, sitting down to his study and turning over an old manuscript, goes forward.
Oh, what a dreadful night of woe was this, wherein there was no comfort but that light which showed the horrid face of misery, and led the innocent the way to death. Poor Hecuba, why dost thou rail on me and cry, O cursed time? Thy woe is mine, and why should not my misery be thine?
He turns forwards.
Here are fearful ides of March, indeed. The morning clear, good words in all men's mouths, all hail and Ave Caesar at the gates, my acclamations in the marketplace. And yet before the glorious sun attained the middle point of this our hemisphere, the day was overcast, the world was changed, time cursed with piteous outcries, when as rather they should have cursed the son that killed the father.
He turns forwards.
I hears a slave, and holy homicide, a skillful clerk at mischief, deeply learned to draw inventions even out of heft, whom time shall ever curse, and ages rue. For death was always known to be too cruel, yet he hath taught her a new tyranny, a quick dispatching means, a thundering evil, a loud resounding voice of blood and murder, the brat of brimstone and of sulphur's brood, a lightning tempest, which with one fiery blast is able to make desolate a land, confound the great designs of mighty kings, lay waste the trophies of antiquity, blow up the temples of the immortal gods. Oh, let me here with grief lament and die, that time must see, not help, this misery.
Okay, so...
No, there's a stage direction, Rob. Sedet lacrimans, he sits weeping.
Yes, but I was getting to that. But never mind.
Okay.
Yes, he does indeed. Sit weeping. He's going to do a lot of that. So what's Time's complaint? What are you complaining about? What did Time complain about there?
I think he complains that everyone curses him for things that aren't his fault.
Which would be annoying. I mean, it does seem that nobody's pleased to see him. Nobody seems to want to listen to it. You know, it's just go away. Yes. Thou bawling varlet does suggest you do an awful lot of crying and sitting.
I mean, I'm in touch with my emotions.
Yeah. I mean,
can I
who
say?
knew? I never got the impression. I always got the impression that Time was sort of quite distanced from their emotions. You know, just sort of stayed. You know, just let things roll on. But who knew? Who knew? Actually. You know.
Yes, and Time sees all this bad stuff happening and feels it very deeply and can't do anything to help because only people can do those things.
Yes. Other thoughts?
I do like the language about a gun, don't you? Or gunpowder?
In what way?
Well, wait, what year was this again?
About 1607 in the old calendar, 1608 in the new.
So I'm guessing that it might have been the last vignette might have been a reference to the gunpowder plot, possibly.
Yeah, it's only a couple of years away. Yeah. Yeah, past.
And saying a quick dispatching means a thundering evil, a loud resounding voice of blood and murder, the brat of brimstone and of sulphur's brood. I do like that as a metaphor for gunpowder.
Yes, and he turns forward as a stage direction as well. What is that?
It's a book. He has a book.
Oh, so he's turning the pages. So he's turning over the old manuscript goes forward.
He goes from the sack of Troy to the death of Caesar to the gunpowder plot.
That's quite a series of leaps. He's really turning them pages, isn't he? Those are quite good gaps. Other thoughts in the room before we move on? No? Okay. Act 2, Scene 1. Enter Clynias and after him Bellicoso.
Before I start, can I just check, does Clynias have an accent?
Yes. A generic yokel marmoset. Or whatever you fancy. Yes, it is. That is how it's written. That is accurately unhelpful.
Okay, thank you. Me, chill, do it. Clynias was never coward, and yet Chad rather plough a yard of land. Gram capons or feeds you in from zun to zun. Bat chan resolve. Kind Beatrice adieu. Chad rather hang myself than varnish you.
Well overtaken, sir. You make great haste, no doubt, to some good bargain.
Very light, you see your way.
What means my honest churl?
But since you see your way, you take your way.
Yes, and perchance take somewhat in my way, and that shall be your purse. Deliver quick, or by great Mars, great Bellicoso's god, I'll cleave your muddy pate.
Did any god send thee to succour me?
What, dost thou laugh at me?
No, by God's only dome. It am beholden to thee for this mirth.
I'll put you from your jests. Laugh on, my friend. He laugheth best that laugheth to the end.
He binds him.
Now for a privy search.
Believe me, sir, it hath but one poor jewel. Leave me that, or take my life and all.
Oh, are you changed? You should laugh still. This jewel, come, this jewel, 'tis not here. Why then, I hope 'tis here. Now by the moon, what's this?
My jewel, sir, my jewel, oh, for Pan and Sarah's sake, spare that. It is the thread of all my life.
Indeed, this thread, because thou callest it so. And many a man's great days in grief and woe. It breeds me in me remorse. Why dost thou weep?
Because good men should go soar to sleep. I do assure you, though I say it myself. I'm not the worst or meanest of my kin. My father left me much good land, well stocked, barns full of corn, 2 ploughs, 3 carts, 3 team. But Justice Breuer, he of Bramble Hall, woe worth the time, would first have bought my land, which I, good man, did never mean to sell from my poor brats. Then lady claim to all, saying his grandfather did sell it as, and the sale was not, for I might tell you this Breuer is a most pernicious lawyer. And by his tricks, hath run me out of all, hath thrust my wife and children out of door, and now, forsooth, because I do complain, he would not set such wrangling yoke of work, so that for want of money and of meat, poor Clynias resolves to hang himself, rather than bear the wrongs and miseries that this injurious time doth offer me.
Oh, that the wickedness of time should be the common theme of country, city, camp, myself. When first I went to serve the wars, had money in my purse, clothes on my back, and hoping to receive my monthly pay spent freely. But my captain prodigo makes but one throw at dice of 10 men's pay, which, being lost for wages, gives us oaths, and when we farther urge him, pays us blows. My elder brother, seeing me return needy and ragged, turns me out of doors. He hath no room for sturdy vagabonds. His house shall never harbor renegades. When I demand my portion, straight he rails. Impudent varlet, wilt thou have it twice? Have I not given thee house room, lodging, meat, and fed thy riot 3 years now together? Thus poor Bellicoso, quite forlorn, abroad at home is made a common scorn, and thus forgotten misery doth go. Let's shake hands in grief and join in woe.
With all my heart, yes, we'll hang both together. I'll hang at this end, thou shalt hang at other.
Not so, thou desperate man, let's hang up time. Most wicked time, the cause of all our wrongs.
Yes, where shall us find the villain?
Everywhere. Look, where he sits reviewing direful acts of murder, perjury, treason, rape, theft. Set upon him.
I'll knock out his brains.
Nay, let us hear him speak. If his excuse do not content us, then we'll hang him up.
Agreed. That will be very good.
Old doting greybeard, unrelenting churl, thou ancient pattern of iniquity, why hast thou used poor Bellicose thus?
Thou man of mischief, very sink of sin, harrow of hell and rake of rottenness, thou worse than vile, why hast thou used me thus?
Thou aged devil,
Road of villainy,
sad minister of death, corruption's board, what canst thou say for to excuse thyself?
My loving friends, all should be friends in time. You seek to know the causes of your wrongs. First, give me leave to tell mine own mishaps, that when you see my woeful misery, ye may the easier bear a part with me. I was, woe that I was, a mighty prince, admired, obeyed, honored, attended on, my counsel, years for gait and carriage slow, but quick and swift for apprehension. Experience brought them up in customs school, happy the land when such a senate guides. The rest of my nobility were months, all of unspotted gentry, ancient houses, some from Augustus, some from Julius sprung, and some from Junius, all of royal race. My gentry were the weeks, to whom retained the common people days, some fair, some foul, some happy, some unhappy, yet all good were consecrated to the immortal gods, as some to Luna, Sol, and Mercury, others to Venus, Saturn, Mars, and Jove. My pages hours, minutes, my lackeys were, who swiftly did perform their lord's behest. Thus happy time, with joy and all increase and love of subjects, ruled his land in peace.
What's this to us? Remembrance of good past makes but the present ill more sour to taste.
hang him up, we'll hear no more.
Do but forbear a while.
Let's hear the rest.
I will be brief. I had one subject more called Night, an obscure villain basely born of earth and hell. This traitor slyly goes to Vice, the only enemy I had, who in Night's mantle did invade my land, fired my cities, overthrew my forts, entered my palace, broke into my chamber, where suddenly, no man suspecting it, Virtue, my queen, was murdered while she slept, and I myself hardly escaped with life, since when my subjects lived in thrall to Vice, my years, the sagest counselors of time, were straight compelled to serve ambition's turn. My months were spent in riot and delight. Drunkenness took my days, sometimes my weeks, and carried them to taverns, brothels, stews, where, tired with wine and lust, strong enemies, many obscurely died. Others were cast into repentance jail, where woefully they spent the poor remainder of their life. But to my hours and minutes worse befell. Murder and treason took them for their slaves, and put them to such base, vile drudgery as time shall ever rue their misery. Then, good my friends, do not augment my grief. It is no fault in me to want relief.
If this be all, will help to end your pain.
Age with the younger should more reverence gain.
I do not like these tales. Let's hang him up.
What do you seek?
Redress for evil past and better state hereafter.
Mend yourself, and time shall quickly better your estate. Though many seem through subtlety to rise, yet virtue doth extol the truly wise. Live well, and ye shall thrive. Let soldiers fight and keep their stations without murmuring. Follow their captain, seek the country's good. Abstain from theft and shedding guiltless blood. Let countrymen without envious eyes or grudging patiently expect the spring. Then wait for harvest, never shunning pain, which in the end returneth him such gain.
All this is done, and yet we cannot thrive.
I cannot help you then.
We can hang you. Away with him, he dies.
These silver locks say my good days are past. Do not hasten death which comes so fast.
I see you do, but shift us off with words.
What would you have me do? If, as you say, you have performed your several duties well, I shall unfold the cause of all your wrongs, but not prevent the effects.
Tell us the cause.
Woe that I had and have not still, one only daughter named Veritas, who while she lived, for now she living dies, informed her father, who deserved well, that I might nourish them with praise and gifts, and such as did amiss, she told me of, that my swift vengeance might attend them. Thus vice was punished, virtue was regarded, the bad neglected, and the good rewarded.
Where is that daughter?
This is but a tale to stop our mouths.
Let's consider it.
A smooth-tongued gossip named Flattery, whilst she was tender and but young in years, with vain allurement stole her from my side, and then conducted her to yonder wood, where by false error and opinion she lives enchanted, feeds on vacuum, chimera, ignis fatuus.
Here fireworks begin.
Look, my friends, what strange illusions they invent to please her. They do persuade her that she is in heaven, seated above the element of fire.
'Tis very strange.
Oh, I shall be inflamed and made fatuous too. My cap is up. Doth it not fall? Doth it not fall upon me?
These shooting apparitions they call stars. Thus she, poor girl, delighted with vain shows, neither remembereth me nor herself knows.
Is there no means to set this daughter free?
Oft have myself with care and danger tried, but still perplexity and doubtful fear, the porters of opinion, errors, watch, do so confound my way, involve my paths, that I can find no entrance. Yet, my friends, there is a maiden named Industry, which sometimes was my daughter's playfellow, but since that hard mischance I told you of, some studious scholars have affected her, and those but few. Diligence grows slack, because good pains their due reward do lack.
What of all this?
Stay, let us hear the rest.
If ye were but acquainted with some scholar, some watchful student, some industrious brain, it were an easy matter to resolve wavering opinion, error to direct. Learning, however, now doth trip and slide, was wont to be the only world's sure guide.
Why should not I recover Veritas as well as scholars? I am sure of this. I tread more ground than they. I take more pains and can endure more hardness.
That doth show thy grosser substance. Finest works most weak. Though learning cannot toil, yet it can speak.
Do you call me gross?
Hold, forbear, I say, I do relent. Alas, that good old man should thus be slandered. Innocence is blamed, whilst guiltiness doth often escape unnamed. I am acquainted with the right good scholar whose discontent I know do equal mine, because the other day in Fortune's temple, his place assigned him on the left hand was, which he disdained and called the goddess devil. They that deserve best must remember evil. This man, I dare, will soon go with us in the request of Lady Veritas.
And when the truth of deeds shall once be known, ye may be sure each man shall have his own.
Look, good time, where discontent itself comes clad in sable weeds. Let's mark his words.
But before we come to the entrance of Studioso, let's take in some of that. There's some really nice stuff in that. I mean, it does feel like it's setting out the stall of this epic morality allegorical drama that we've missed. I mean, I put in the chat, that the Times narrative there would be an excellent HBO miniseries. It was really exciting. Night came in and fired your cities, and and all of these. All of these elements sort of just exploding, and time coming undone in all sorts of different ways, and the people giving up their minutes and time and hours to bad things. And yeah, I found that really engaging, even though it should be really boring. So I'm quite pleased. I really enjoyed that. Desna.
Yes, so one thing I really enjoyed there about Time's kind of description of their world was the ranks of years and months and weeks and minutes and hours sort of reflects the prince's procession at the beginning with his various ranks of nobility and stuff. So I kind of quite like that mirroring, if you like, there.
And it's a really nice bit of world building. You sort of feel that everything has its place and it has been thought through, and somebody's really gone over all of this. Eric.
I was going to say that I was enjoying the sort of, Clynias and Bellicoso basically want to kill each other at the beginning, and then kind of they sort of get together, and then they decide to attack Time. And then the Time convinces them that, there's actually a bigger cause here that we can unite together to sort of dismantle or repair.
You've got one going into the woods to hang himself, the other one coming there to rob him, and then say, well, shall we just sort of join forces and hang Time? I mean, it's just like him over there because he's sitting over there lamenting. On the side of the stage or whatever, and it's just kill him. And I just love the way that Clynias is just constantly can we kill him yet? 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 Can we just hang him? There's a lot of talking. I'm bored. Liza.
Yeah, I do like the sort of waiting for Godot moment where they briefly both resolve to hang themselves side by side, and then they're like, no, wait. The cause of our miseries is time. And there's this thing, Desna, I love your point about Time having this hierarchy, which mirrors the hierarchy of the court. And it was a good and just and virtuous state, except corrupting influences came in and slew Virtue, who was the partner of Time. And now, and his years and months and days have all been led astray by people who waste them. So it's kind of bold to do this play in front of a prince or in front of royalty, because they're like, well, corruption reigns in the land. Because Clynias has a very valid, and I'm sure frequent, complaint about this unjust justice taking his land away and impoverishing his family. Possibly a metaphor for enclosing the common, who knows? And then Bellicoso, again, probably very common in the army. He's a soldier. His commanding officer lost all the men's pay at dice, and so nobody is getting paid, and he has to go and rob people for sustenance. So they're blaming Time for this, and Time is making the case that they're blaming Time unjustly.
And of course, all of these nobles, these are the higher ups in the university. I don't think there's any. Princes of the blood in attendance. But there's an awful lot of pretty well-to-do people, and then there are fireworks. We're outdoors, aren't we? But we're in a quad.
No expense spared.
Yeah, and everyone look. What are these strange things? It is very strange. And Clynias worried. Is it sort of shooting sparks because it's like you're afraid that your cap is getting hot? I mean, so it's interesting what kind of fireworks we might have in place here. Eric.
Yeah, I was thinking when we were doing the whole Bellicoso and Clynias against Time, at the beginning of this scene, this interaction anyway, I was thinking it's kind of like I don't know, current teenagers or millennials blaming the older generation And it's still kind of that, it is that vibe, but the thing is, like, they actually have a point rather than like, I mean, everyone has a point in it at some, if you look at it from their perspective. And yeah, I don't know, it just made me think of the whole what's it called, the song about Buddy Holly, American Pie, where he's like, where the ways the sort of lost generation and all that stuff. I can't remember the line, but yeah, it's a good song.
There we were, all in one place, a generation lost in space.
Yeah, exactly.
With no time left to start again.
Yeah, see, that's why we have Liza around. I mean, aside from the fact that she's awesome. Yeah, yeah, that's what that made me think of.
Yeah, well, we've also got music, so bye Miss American Pie, why not? So any other thoughts before the scene continues? The sort of act scene divisions are all seem a bit arbitrary, but because there's no actual stopping of the action at any point in this text. Okay, Studioso enters. So Act 2, Scene 2, enter Studioso the Scholar. Isn't that lucky they found a scholar, having just said we could really do with a scholar? So yeah, with a libel in his hand. Nay, Studioso never shall want brain. If time whip me, I'll whip the time again. Time is old and dotes with age. Zeal is cold and wit doth rage. Flattery doth counsel give. Pride on poverty doth live. This will I paste on every corner post, cast in each cross way, that the world may know a scholar's wrongs shall ne'er unpunished go. Had it been any but a fool, an ass, an idiot that had offered me this wrong, fortune I could have borne thy misery, and time I could have put up injury. But now I am impatient of delay, till I have heard what this vile world can say.
Alas, poor man, in truth I pity him. Clouds of misfortune hang in good men's light. I wish him well, yet cannot do him right.
A fool, let me not think on it, lest I grow mad with choler.
Nay, forbear, impatience cannot help.
What? Overheard?
Stand not amazed, be not afraid of us. Our set misfortune is as bad as yours, but time hath taught us all a remedy, if you will only join in helping hand. Time, art thou there?
Studioso.
Well, have learned arts deserved no more respect? What glories hast thou, what antiquities, what good examples, what records of fame? What ancient monument of good deserts that learning hath not freely given thee, and yet can learned men throughout all lands deserve no better favour at thy hands?
I am ashamed of it. Let that suffice.
Mend it for shame, lest thou grow impudent.
You should resolve opinion, error unmask, unfold the truth, and you again should flourish.
Cannot one father, one child only nourish?
I could, but she was stolen from me young, and now my age so feeble is and weak that I dare scarcely once for her to speak.
But follow, and we will bring you to her.
Where lives she?
In yon grove.
Then follow me. I will recover her, or fall with her. Siti non capiem tu me capes. True learning to the truth hath such affection that it will live and die in her protection.
Stay for his time. We mean to come again.
Go and be happy in your enterprise. Sit down again and see if any good did e'er befall thee. What? The golden age? Aye, this remembrance doth cheer up my heart and makes my misery so long of life. Here were no laws, no penal statutes known, no unrelenting judge, no plaintiff's moan, no unkind father, no ungracious child, no flatterer tame, no foreign foeman wild, no ships on sea, no engines on the land, no guile in tongue, no murder in the hand. Here time was young, like the days themselves, had golden locks, a smooth and pleasant front. Here simple plainness all the world possessed, and secure nations joyed a common rest. What's next? The Silver Age, though grosser far, yet pure enough without all mortal jar. The Brazen Age more grew to words and blows, no wicked courses, no bad actions shows. But out, alas, the Iron Age is here. I'll read no more, for where the whole is bad, what comfort or what joy can there be had? These are the wretched days that made time bald, wrinkled his brow, caused opportunity to hang before me only, which of old did round encompass me. These are the days which made these hoary locks. To tell you true, in better days they had a better hue.
Nostalgia isn't what it used to be. There's some really nice bits in that. I really like that bit. I mean, it risks dipping into sentimentality, but it does do it very nicely. And yeah, Studioso is going to go off and do some daring do, presumably extinct, at the beginning of that long speech. Yeah, thoughts on that? I'm really enjoying this. It's got some really nice ideas bouncing about. Eric, then Desna.
I kind of want like that last speech with which made these hoary locks, to tell you true, in better days if they had a better hue. I kind of want like time to be like, messing around with like dye, like hair dye, or just like spraying hair. I don't know, maybe that's me.
I'm thinking wig reveal.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I don't know. Time has such interesting stuff to say when time is by themselves, and
because
yeah,
there's
department
the
going.
Time. That's the problem.
Yeah,
yeah.
But has he been reading like sort of Haywood's plays, or is that just like
no? I think they're later. They're a few years later. They're following this. I mean, the nature, the concept of these ages are well embedded.
Okay, that makes sense.
They are, and it seems that Time still has their book here. The the book that they were turning through in the prologue. They still have it. It may be their attribute,
or a crib, depending on how much rehearsal time they had. Sorry, cynical me. No, Desna.
So I'm just thinking about this we've got this trio now of Bellicoso, Studioso, and Clynias off to kind of rescue Veritas in the woods, and it just sort of reminds me a little bit of it's a very fairy tale-ish thing, isn't it? The three people set off on a quest kind of thing. I don't know why I was quite haphazardly reminded of Monkey, of Sandy Figsy and Tripitaka off to do something, but that's maybe just showing my age. I'm not sure who would be Monkey.
Yeah, I like the idea that the quest is, Studioso is, is going to cite them into submission or something. They send the scholar to fight it, and we're drawing all the way back. We're going all the way back to Player Wit and Science, which is early. Or relatively early 16th century. We're nearly going 100 years back to this kind of thing. And we've had this, certainly had a character called Studioso in other plays as well. Not the same university, but hey, what can you do? But Cambridge and Oxford can play around with the same conceits. That's okay. Okay, let's carry on. Let's see who's going to enter to time. So Act 3, Scene 1, as it's labelled. I'm going to say enter to time rather than that time's exited. Humphrey Swallow drunk.
But who comes here? Now let me prophesy. This man, this monstrous beast, and nature's crime. It comes most unjustly to complain of time.
What a villainous, scurvy, wicked, rascally unconscionable villainous time is this? A man cannot quench his thirst for a penny. The world was when a man might have gone to a good river and quenched his thirst for nothing. And now he shall come to a scurvy, rotten alehouse, and he can't quench his thirst for a penny. For look you now, here's a pint, and I will drink this pint. My thirst is not quenched now. Here's a time with a vengeance. If the man take too much liquor, a justice of the peace will now all set him in the stocks, and the tapster rogues will not fill enough liquor. Yet a justice of peace won't set him in the stocks. And how can a man drink too much liquor when they won't fill him in enough liquor? Then fill the cans again, then fill the cans again. Let every man stand with a can in his hand. Ale, if be good, breeds excellent blood, and then we'll drink amain. I'm hoarse for lack of drink. For look you now, if a shoe be made of dry leather liquored well, it will creak filthily, and a man's throat, if it be made of dry leather, will make a scurvy noise. I know it by experience,
He espieth time.
Who the devil have we here? An old man over his shoes, foxed in the element. Here's an old greybeard drunken ass hath been at the courier's, and he is sunburnt and blown up, and he hath drunk so long that he cannot hold open his eyes. He's bareheaded now. Let him wear my cap for fear of taking hold. What a ninny taking cold. What a ninny hammer was this? Cannot he drink 6 dozen of ale, but he must fall asleep? I can bear my liquor a little better than so. Thank I can bang the pitcher and be merry in good sort. Yet I won't sleep so long as I can stand with my eyes open. I perceive he's good at his trade. He carries his implements about him. Here's a glass of fine invention. 'Tis a brave glass, i' faith. Will it hold a drink?
He poureth a drink on the hourglass.
How now do you refuse your liquor? Here's a glass with a pestilence. What were glasses made for, and they won't hold drink?
He flingeth it against the walls.
Take your tipple next time when 'tis offered you. Never while you live refuse your liquor.
Enter goodwife Spiggot.
Why, how now? What's to do here? Who's you gonna keep that noise?
Slut ears mine hostess, and she'll see me, and she'll scold like a tinker's bitch, and she'll score me on for it.
Oh, Lord, what a wicked time is this. Who's like to keep the honest, vacillating, vitulating house as I have done these 30 years? Lammas tide, they cannot be able to live nor keep the wolf out of doors for drunken knaves that call it in for a drink and never pay for it.
So what does he mean me?
Filthy drunken sots that lie by it all day, swilling and blazing.
Does she proceed? Let her scold on. I'll steal all she's worth.
Exit Swallow.
If they were honest men, my profit were the more. But being such a rascal as they are, I am almost undone by it. I knew the time when honest neighbours would have met together at Goodwife Spigot's, I faith, and have consumed of things belonging to the parish, have called in for ale and toast, and have had 4 pots, and paid for 6, and laid down their money and departed peacefully, and without all order in the world, in good faith.
I stole the victuals, faith. Here's provant, and here's that will pay my score, and buy me a new apron, and here's a ringo root that the old trot nourishes her withered bones with. What, is she still scolding? How do you, goodwife Spiggot? How do you? Have you anything to say to me now?
Out, thou drunken rascal! Thou art one of them that has undone me. Pay me my money and keep out of my house, knave.
Am I not Am not I Humphrey Swallow? Why, thou old hag, witch, fuddle, notch, clacket bumby, filthy bungle, dost misuse me before my friends now. I hope I owe thee but twopence. Now, jade thou, twopence, thou jade thou.
Oh, the Lord now, by my holy dome, he owes me 6 pence and a halfpenny for a loaf, and I'll have it ere thou goest out of the house, knave.
Out, out, withered plum tree, out! I'll rattle your old bones, I'll make all split of it.
Out, alas, be a woman in her own house. I'll fetch the constable to cane thee, I will, I faith.
Exit Spiggot.
Aye, I'll constable you, faith misreckon me.
Exit and returns with food.
I've got somewhat cupboard. Now am I wondrous thirsty, but the best is I know the way to the tap.
Exit and returns with, and this I can't pass, so I don't quite know what that's supposed to be. Compotu.
Why, this is very good faith. Lie down there, and lie down there, and stand down there.
And exit and returns with a sword and a cushion.
These be my goods now, and these be my weapons. I would see the man now that would seize on my goods while I stand here with these my weapons. But let my goods lie by this old man, and my sword shall lie here, and I will lie here. Will any man seize on my goods while my sword lies here, and I lie here by my sword? Let him be that dares.
And he falls asleep. So yes, we got this. So he comes back. He's come back with food. Gone out, come back with drink, and come out and return with sword and cushion. So there's an awful lot of sort of business going on here. Swallow's doing a lot of good drunk business. Or drinking business. I don't know actually if he's actually drunk. He's just doing a lot of drinking. Time's sort of been forgotten. It feels. And yeah, an argument ensues with Spiggot. Yeah, thoughts on this scene? I mean, I think, Eric, you did give it full aplomb. I have to say, that brought that to life. That could have been... and we have what is presumably a song about filling the cans again, which, yeah, I don't know if we've had in plays before, but certainly I think a reasonably popular song of some description. Yeah, thoughts in the room. Liza.
It is a nice song, and this section is nicely written. It's a nice piece of clown business that, everyone else is complaining about injustice, and he's just complaining about how hard it is to get a good drink these days, and people having the nerve to charge you actual money for it. And then we get Spiggot, who's the reverse, who's like, people exactly like Swallow are basically ruining her alehouse because they drink up her drinks and they won't pay. And then while she's complaining about it, he goes to the house and steals all her food.
Yeah, she says she's going to fetch the constable, and she just goes in, takes all the food, takes all the drink, gets a cushion and a sword. So like this, he's setting himself up for a nap, but he's prepared for the inevitable consequences when someone turns up afterwards.
Yes.
Okay.
Very well played by both.
Eric, then Tom.
Yeah, he reminded me a bit of like Ignorance from The Four Elements, who's kind of very just like, yeah, I'll do that one, and like, I'm gonna sing the last song that was in my head last week or whatever, or that was playing the night at the club, the day before. But also just some of his swear words or just his insults are kind of okay. Hag witch we get, but then like fuddle, notch, clacket bumby. That was just like really hard to keep a straight face for.
I particularly like filthy bunghole myself.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
It's good, and Niniammer as well, which I only know from Lord of the Rings. Samwise Gamgee calls himself Niniammer at one point, so it's quite nice to have. Yeah. Tom.
I just think part of the charm in all of this script is, I don't know if it's like Joyce, just lists, but lists can be very poetic, and this seems to just trip and in a lovely, lively manner. It just seems to trip over, and you can see by the way people are enjoying reading it.
I mean,
But it seems to be in that poetic mode of lists.
It dances along really nicely. I have to say, I'm very pleasantly surprised by this text. I'm very pleased with it. I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's sort of a shaggy dog story kind of thing. It's not really going anywhere particular, but it's very enjoyable to be with. It's good company, these people. Shall we enjoy more of their company? I think we will. Act 4, Scene 1. Enter Manco, a counterfeit lame beggar. Yes, this is where the necessity of hats may become increasingly apparent.
Oh, what a vile, hard-hearted time is this! Now no dissembling practice, no lame shifts will serve the turn to pick a living out. I fear me I must trot on both my legs. Forget, though loath, halting before my friends, and from this easy trade of beggary, betake me to some honest drudgery. Why, what a blessed time hath Manco seen, when in the summer on some hill's descent, or at a church porch in the winter time, I could have begged 5 shillings every day. But now so many hotspurs in the way will rather kill an horse with galloping than give a penny for a riding wand, that all my summer harvest is cut down. Again, some few come to the church, and they for ceremony more than charity, that all my winter hopes are quite forlorn. Now alehouses of all the custom got, indoors and taverns yield the greatest alms. Therefore, before I wholly change my coat, I will expect the fortune of this place, and once more limp it, with a special grace.
Act 4, Scene 2. Enter Philonices with his servant.
Sirrah, attend me in my private walk behind the town.
I will.
And fetch my cloak. For to complain of time is each man's theme, but to applaud the days and like the time is the entire advantage of a few. And of these few I am not the meanest. Who shall ever be bound to bless the hour when, for my most dull insufficiency, my father took me from the academy? For since from being but a lawyer's clerk, I am a justice grown and keep the peace. Buy out base neighbours, prostrate villages, for why should silly peasants freely walk, when men of better rank would private be? Why should low cottages there dare to stand, where stately manners challenge all the land? Yet time I have a just complaint against thee, thou doest maintain to many murmurers, to many gentlemen which do envy us, and twitters in the teeth with basely born, sprung up of nothing. This we highly scorn.
Good gentlemen, good pitiful gentlemen, 1 penny or halfpenny for the lame and maimed, I beseech your good worship to consider the necessity of the poor. I am a mason by my trade, but I have lost my limbs by falling from a ladder, so that I am altogether destitute of means to live. I beseech your good merciful worship for 1 penny or halfpenny.
Now what doest thou see to call me merciful?
Because I hope you will be so.
I tell thee, slave, my name is Philonices, and to such sturdy vagabonds as thou, this is Justice Philonices' arms.
Oh, good your worship, hold your hands. I am a poor impudent cripple that cannot help myself.
Thy hands, rogue, be not cripples. Work with them and get thy living as myself have done. Out of my sight.
If you will give me naught.
Give? Yes, 'tis very likely that a justice, a burgess of the parliament, a lawyer, will give against the statutes. Nourish rogues. Go, leave this town. Come not within my walks, or stay, and I will soon send somebody which shall provide a lodging for thy feet.
Exit Philonices.
Call you this begging? Heavens deliver me from such an alms. Oh, what a caterpillar is this! I'm resolved to mischief him. Nay, I had much ado to hold my hands when last he struck me. All my fingers itched to have been dealing with him. If I had found both my legs and crossed him on the pate, there was no witness by. Well, once again, I'll try my fortune. Where the rich are scant, the beggar oft supplies the beggar's want.
Act 4, Scene 3. Enter Goodwife Spiggot.
Oh, I am undone. Some villain hath rifled my house.
Good honest mother, look upon the lame and maimed. Here's a halfpenny, make it up a penny.
Oh, happy hour, I have the rogue. This leering vagabond hath robbed me sure. I'll straight away to the justice and apprehend him on suspicion.
Exit Spiggot.
What's this? Upon suspicion, be apprehended for a robbery. Nay, then it's high time to look about me, or else this justice on this fit occasion will make me weary of my begging trade, and therefore stilts adieu. Halting, farewell, I will from henceforth learn to go upright and stand no more upon these wooden shifts. But stay, what's here? Were it not worth my pains for to resign my living to this fellow? Yet thou sleepst soundly. Morpheus, hold thine own. And this good man, which laid himself down sound, shall limping rise and be a cripple found. Nay, prithee, do not wake. It fits him well. Sure, it was made for him and not for me. He that doth break head must plasters give, and therefore I, that gave this malady, will also leave behind this remedy.
Exit Manco. Enter servant with others.
Come, which way went this cripple?
That way. That way.
Look where he lies asleep. Take and apprehend him.
What, have we took you napping?
It was there. I beshrew you for breaking my first sleep. You have no commission to disturb around of his natural rest, have you?
No, but we have a commission to apprehend you on suspicion of felony if you would be a cripple.
Yes, if I be a cripple, I mean, metamorphosed, translated. Oh, help me.
Yes, we'll help to convey you hence.
I pray you, who am I? I should be Humphrey Swallow.
Yes, this is Humphrey Swallow, drunken Humphrey.
Yes, I told him I should be so, but I'm afraid I am not so.
Oh, this is not the cripple, that lame rogue.
I do not know whom you call that cripple. I'm sure I am this cripple. I've had a monstrous dry night of it, and full of shrewd mischances. Who can I teach me to halt with judgment?
This cripple was a counterfeit, sure. Let's follow hue and cry to yonder grove.
Exeunt Spiggot, etc., leaving Swallow behind.
Follow, quoth you. I may well follow the hue and cry, but I shall never go with it. They say ale can take away the use of a man's legs. I'm afraid if it hath taken away one of mine. I must forswear drinking then, for fear I lose the other too. I've clean forgot where I was or what I did the last night, and yet I do not remember that I was foxed. Well, I'll go think out, and if I can shake off this whole thing, I will. I'll promise you that.
And exit Swallow. Enter Manco. Finding their hat.
I am right glad I have escaped their hands. 'Twas well I found my legs and left my stilts. Now, since I am so cunningly disguised, I will go see my cripple which I left. Some pastime after pain is not amiss. This is the place. What, is he vanished? Gone? Nay, then, his room shall seem me for repose. Till I hear more, here will I rest myself. For fear and travel have so wasted me that I am no way able to support my weary limbs. Morpheus, do thou thy best. Sleep is the only true refreshing rest.
And sleeps. And there we'll pause before we get to the final chaos that will be Act 5 as we're all talking to ourselves. Okay, so we have this sort of extended sequence. I'm not quite sure why they decide to leave Swallow when, you know, he's committed one crime or another to run after Manco, and why Manco just decides to have a nap. Lots of things just sort of randomly happen. I'm a bit confused. Liza, then Eric.
So I don't know if it's random. I think, you know, one of the themes of this play is injustice. So the hostess has been robbed.
Yes.
But she unjustly blames Manco, who she's sure did it because he's the homeless guy in front of her door. Now, Manco himself is not a just man. He pretends to have one leg, and he has some kind of contraption that he uses to strap up his leg and have a wooden leg. So Manco is not a just man either, but he didn't do the robbery. And then Manco sets up Swallow, who's unconscious, and disguises him, and presumably he straps the leg contraption to Swallow.
Yes.
To Swallow's leg.
But then then having found him, they reject that he's the person, and they go after well, Manco.
Because Spiggot knows Swallow. We've established that she knows him. And Swallow did do the crime. But Spiggot is convinced that Manco did the crime.
But
so
she
they
was still
leave
fetching
Swallow.
a constable for him before that crime. It feels like you should still hold on to him, regardless. The exit of Swallow at that point, Spiggot at that point, seems just a bit random.
Yes, but in this play, I guess, until time is fixed, justice can't be done. So she can't catch the guy who really did the crime. She has to go herring off after the guy who didn't do the crime.
Or that particular crime. Yeah. I mean, it's reasonably fun. It's reasonably interesting. This idea of counterfeit beggars and is one of those sort of pernicious slanders and libels that sort of dots around, turns up again in Sherlock Holmes and all over the place. You know, this idea that there are the sturdy beggars out there who are coining it by begging, and this is sort of this idea that's being sort of applied here. Eric, sorry.
I was going to say that I thought the whole point was that she went off to the constable to report him because he'd basically beaten her to get out of the house. That was the crime that she associated with him, and hadn't paid his bill. So that was the double crime for him. But then by the time she gets there, she thinks that, like, because she comes back and finds, like, you know, nothing pretty much. I'm assuming, I don't know. And thinks that Manco did it, but then Manco steals the idea of, like, yeah, I should totally be here because this is comfortable and, you know, warm and so on and so forth.
I find the falling asleep bit very weird.
Yeah.
Everyone just keeps falling asleep. It's like an episode of Bod. It really is. And it's just and we're going to now and we're going to sit there in a hole with a giant strawberry. Why? Because. Which is fine. It's too slight a piece for me to be worrying too much about logic, but and I'm enjoying the ride, so I'm being pernickety. Any other thoughts before we go into the final scene? I might not the final act anyway. Eric.
Yeah, I just like the sort of mini well, I guess pun. I don't know, like, sort of, you know, he's legless because he got drunk, which is basically, yeah, I don't know, because isn't that an expression in English, like, sort of being legless equals being drunk? Okay, just double checking. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's
like,
I don't know if that's
smart
the original intention of as a gag, but it's a good gag if it is a gag. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Act 5 has more people than we have readers for, so we will be talking to ourselves a bit. Act 5, Scene 1 features the entrance of Studioso, Veritas, who we've not met before, Opinion and Error, who we haven't met before, Bellicoso and Clynias, who we have met before. So we'll see how that goes, and other people will arrive as well. Fair creature, do not still go hoodwinked thus. Unmask thy beauty to a scholar's eyes, who doth adore thy sacred deity. Let not the world in a perpetual night involved lie, because it wants thy light. You're muted as well as veiled.
Scholars, I grant, love me and speak me fair, but their hard fortune is too plain a bait, too sharp a hook for truth to nibble at.
Lady, remember what conditions yourself proposed.
Error importune not. I do remember them with all my heart and will observe them.
Yet Opinion fears that Veritas will now forget herself and not be true.
Opinion forbear, Error be silent else.
What else, I pray? I stand as much upon Opinion as thou on Veritas.
And I on Error.
Well done, brave champion.
Nay, let me alone to swagger when my sweetheart stands so near.
What mean you, most unconstant foolish men? Ye led me forth, and will ye undo the work yourselves begun? Will you stop my course, unravel that which your own hands have spun?
We care not these we care not these are much the fairer dames, and therefore do deserve more love than she.
The greatest beauty loves the meanest case. Seek not the outward hue, but inward grace.
Why did our mother nature give us eyes, but to love that which seaworthy love?
Why did she give you intellectual thoughts, but truly to discern what should be loved? The master should o'errule his serving knaves. The senses are the understanding's slaves.
Hear him no more, lest his suggesting tongue he turned your love from us to that plain girl, simplicity and nakedness itself.
Hear him no more, lest he should change thy mind. Although I be but small in others' eyes, yet in my own I am as great as any.
Yet?
Speak no more, lest then I crack your crown.
Thus weak arts yield to a rumbustious clown. Come, Una Veritas, and go with me to see thy aged and afflicted sire, afflicted for thy absence, pretty maid.
Alas, I cannot help or comfort him. I always looked for comfort at his hands, but have found none. For duty yet I'll go.
Do not believe him.
No, in faith, not I. I always took him for a smooth-tongued rascal.
Do not believe him, sir. Not I, by Mars. I know him for a most white-livered count. I will maintain my brave opinion through all the world.
My father, oh, my father, who hath thus used thee?
What, is time asleep? No marvel then if truth sit down and weep. Rise up, fair maid, I will rouse up this time, this sluggish age, and holler in his ears the scourge of vice. So ho! What time, I say? So overwhelmed with vain security, awake! For shame, look up and see thyself. See what detested sloth hath brought upon thee. Here, drunkenness hath set his pillar up, displayed his banner here, yet can time sleep? Here pilfering theft have laid his load as though thou shouldst receiver be, yet can time sleep? And here, pity to see, unhallowed murther hath played his prize and killed this honest brother, even at thy council board, yet can time sleep? Here double-gorged gluttony hath left his superfluity, yet can time sleep? Here lies the glass of moderation broke, here folly seated on thy very head, yet can time sleep? Rouse up thyself for shame, and quit thyself of these most horrid crimes. Here lust hath spread his dainty pulpaments, here avarice have laid his treasure up, Here sloth doth rest his head, yet can time sleep?
I am amazed. Nay, am I not asleep? Is not all this a dream, vision, and no true substance of the things we see?
Oh, good time, all is true, your daughter too.
What? Veritas, my daughter. A blessing, father. Now Jove and bright Apollo shine on thee, that all the world may see thy beauty's grace. Truth doth not hide her face, why hidest thou thine? Error did give me this brave gaudy scarf to cover my fair face, my tender brow, from the hot scorching slanders of the world. Alas, poor infant, how art thou misled, to fear the scorching heat of slandering tongues? The sun is not so bright as thou, my daughter. Thy piercing beams could scatter error's mists. Then for thy father's sake, unmask thyself and live with him that dies for lack of thee. Show me what chance hath brought these sins upon me, which I myself am no way guilty of.
And there we'll pause before anyone else enters, because it's confusing enough as it is. Yeah, it's interesting. So, because of course time's been asleep here all the time as well. But then I'm also sort of wondering, is it like the Watcher and folding into some of these other sleepers are folding into time in some weird way? I'm very confused by some of that. But yeah, Studioso has completed his quest. He's just nipped off, picked up Veritas, but Error and Opinion and all these other people. There's a definite fake news quality to some of this, isn't there? There's all these wandering problems. If only you'll let truth and things to get to poke through, everything will be fine. And sort of going, maybe. Liza, then Eric.
Yeah, I mean, it is very much a fake news thing, because error and opinion are sexier than truth. And therefore, Clynias and Bellicoso, who have been Studioso's friends on this mission, have been seduced by them. So basically, only the scholar, like the soldier and the farmer, have been seduced, because they're, as they say, quote, low information voters. Only the scholar has the wit to discern truth. We've read many texts where this is not the case, where for example, the farmer discerns truth more than, for example, a cleric. But in this one, you see, this is a university drama. It's full of scholars. So scholars, they're the good guys.
What do we make
of
Studioso's
the veiled truth?
What do we make of Studioso's long speech about, what is time asleep? Yet can time sleep? I wasn't quite sure how to pass that, as to you're sleeping while everything's going wrong. Liza.
I'm sorry, I've talked a lot. Does anyone else want to answer this one? I mean, for me, this is about the physical objects that are on stage. That Swallow left his thievings there, and presumably he also left behind the fake leg and crutches that Manco left. And so he says, here drunkenness hath set his pillar up, displayed his banner here. Here pilfering theft has laid his load, as though thou shouldst receiver be. And then I'm not sure what happened, but someone's died.
I think some of these are not actually all literal things that have happened here, but it's just the way that Studioso turns on time, because of course he's gone out to get his daughter and do this, and it's sort of like, you've been sleeping all this while? I've been working. Kind of. Is that the kind of gig?
It's that, but it's also about justice. That justice is asleep. But, I love that here lies the glass of moderation broke, which is the hourglass that Swallow was frustrated with because it wouldn't hold any wine, and he broke.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that at all earlier, which was a really nice bit of comedy business, but also quite a pertinent bit of comedy business. This trying to fill an hourglass with wine and just getting frustrated and going, well, this isn't very good, is it? It's rubbish. I'll go to Eric, then Desna.
Yeah, I thought that was basically what was going on, sort of like Studioso basically because we know that Time fell asleep, and then what do you call it? Swallow went, oh yeah, you could have my cap, you look cold, and then you can have like some alcohol or something, and then throws that against the wall, and then yeah, I assumed that he'd also left some form of drink, or like maybe a bottle or something, because he had said, you can share some of my drink or whatever, and then has the whole encounter with the Spiggot, and yeah, double gorged gluttony has left his superfluity. I'm not sure what is going on, but I think it might also just be a cue.
I think that's the food that Swallow stole that he left there.
Yeah, probably. I'm thinking also it might just be a cue, like sort of, can Time sleep, like sort of shaking him awake 3, 4, 5 times till he wakes up, like, can Time sleep? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, but in the sense that justice isn't Time's job, and everyone's still attacking poor Time, and it's like sorry, Desna.
No, it's okay. So I've been thinking of it. So I also read it as kind of like, Time's asleep on the job. What do you think you're doing? And I kind of feel like Studioso saying that Time is the order. It should be the ordering principle, but it's gone to sleep, and so there is no order. There's just disorder. Pilfering and gluttony and drunkenness and that kind of thing. And again, I kind of feel that there's this distinction between this, which is all slightly mildly chaotic, people randomly falling asleep, and with the kind of the ranking that we had earlier on in the text, with the hierarchies of years and months and weeks and stuff, and the prince's hierarchies of nobility and so on as well. So I kind of feel that there's a tension between this, sort of slightly shambolic stuff that's going on, and Studioso is just having a go at Time. Come on, wake up, get things sorted out. This is your job, not mine, kind of thing. So yeah.
Yes, it's starting to feel like the ending of Flux. Right, we will in a moment go on. Eric.
I was just gonna say that maybe because, like, having been in academia and stuff, and school and all that, like, scholars are the ones who are always running out of time, because it's kind of like, tests and that kind of thing, like trying to do exams, like filling in the answers ASAP. I don't know, maybe that's what, you could mess with that as well. I don't know, maybe.
Okay, this is where everybody's talking to themselves, so we'll see how this goes, because enter to this scene, additionally, Justice Philonices, a servant, Swallow, and Spiggot. Good luck, everyone.
Where is that aged Time thou toldst me of? Who is the sole maintainer of all faults?
I'm very bashful. I dare not answer a man of worship. My head is sick of the whimsies. I pray tell him he sits yonder.
Look where stands, with all his crimes about him. Yes, and your worship, these are my goods. Thou old knave, thou.
What canst thou say? The fact is most apparent.
Faith, I've got them all. I stole these goods, and now the old ass shall be hanged for them. But hostess, you'll keep your word. I shall have you for finding out your goods.
Aye, by St. Anne's shalt thou. Though I be old, yet I love a young knave well. But you must forswear drunkenness then.
Yes, faith, from the bottom of my belly, for thence you shall have it when I am troubled with it. I will spit it out at length. But no, you gave me leave to be Tranco this once. Therefore, fetch me 2 cans that I may drink a health to this good company.
Unthankful wretch! Thou hast least cause of all to deal thus hardly with afflicted time. Thou hast engrossed my goods with that fierce cry of nullum tempus occurrit regi.
Do not upbraid me with thy benefits. I have done much for thee. Thy daughter truth I have maintained openly against wrongs, false perjuries, deep slanders.
Nay, forbear, and now let Veritas once show herself. I must confess you often are my friend and help a true cause with a true defense. Yet I owe you but little thanks for that, unless my evidence be plain and good. Alas, too oft with many broils and jars in the cross ways of discourse I am lost. And sometimes fear, sometimes affection confound me quite and will not let me speak. Then do not boast what you have done for truth. This for myself. My father, thus I quit, this lump of flesh. My father, thus I quit. This lump of flesh, whom you imagine dead, is but death's image, drowsy Morpheus, prisoner, which weariness and sloth hath brought him to. This drunken man, to all the sins allied, for who hath one hath reference to all, first stole these goods from her, then left them here. It is an old excuse for each new crime, to lay all blame upon corrupted time. Lastly, this is the crippled counterfeit which tied his lame inventions on this man, whilst he securely slept oppressed with drink. Thus truth, even in a word, can easily say that which shall make the night as clear as day.
What strange inversions and what tricks are these? Since that the truth is known, and with just fears, guiltiness in your faces thus appears. I will proceed to judgment.
Time denies it.
Nay, good wife Spiggot denies it. If he took the goods, he is my husband now. They be his own goods. He may carry them whither he will.
Yea, they be mine own goods.
I do expect a higher judgment far when of these faults I shall have rid myself. Go, carry this thy shame into the world, that all may know these are no faults of time. Daughter, you see what service you have done me, how happy I am by thy presence made. Live with thy father still to free his age from these imputed crimes, these fearful slanders.
Remember, Veritas, conditions made.
No more. You, father, seek my company, and I love yours, but you are old and poor. What certain patrimony can you leave me? What glory can you leave me? What lands purchase for to endow my beauty? What I have shall all be thine. And time hath no good left, so Veritas shall have no heritage. Pardon me, father, I was born most free and cannot bear the bitter taunts of men. The naked truth is now a proverb grown. Tom Tell Truth, my good servant and your friend, hath been too much neglected in this world. I'll rather choose in base obscurity to live than die in open misery. Nay, stay, sweet child. Pray, father, pardon me. Base flattery hath banished me the court. Plain lying hath shut city gates against me. False perjury arraigns me at the bar. Where would you have me live? In fields, my girl. I was not born to be a country lass. If men of better sort will not receive me, I will retire myself to yonder grove, with error and opinion there to dwell, who though my foes for vantage use me well.
Bravely resolved.
Well answered, Veritas.
Father, adieu. Nay, stay, thou hast my heart. A father and his child must not so part. Rather than thus thou shouldst abandon me, I doubt not but this present company some honorable patron will afford. But where, oh where, oh where? Right, majesty, look down upon perplexed misery, repeal concealed truth from banishment, and cure sick time's consuming languishment. Oh, help thou only which canst help afford. All may be mended by a prince's word.
And looks out to the Christmas Prince in the audience, and hopefully they give some appeal at this point. It ends on, it's almost a cliffhanger, isn't it? It's like, because Veritas just goes, right, I'm off. I'm going to go off with error and opinion. I mean, I don't trust them, but they're fun. I know what they want from me, and it's all. I didn't expect this at all. This is a really good ending. It's not like, and everyone lives happily ever after. It's like, how's it going to end? What's going to happen? Christmas Prince saved the day. You're my only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan. Liza.
Well, basically, yeah. I mean, truth declares the truth of things. She straightens all the plot out. But truth, again, metaphorically, is not rewarded. She says to time, well, Father, if you want me to live with you, then what can you offer me? And he's like, nothing, I'm poor. And she's like, well, these error and opinion, these two ladies, like their intentions were lousy, but they were at least nice to me. So I might go live with them. I thought she was traditionally supposed to live down a well and occasionally emerge to shame mankind, but she tried emerging and it, she spoke the truth and it kind of didn't go well. She was like, yeah, this guy robbed you. And the hostess is like, well, he's married to me now, so whatever.
Yeah, what he has robbed me of is also now his, I suppose. Yeah, and the drunk who is we're talking about that question about the body, and he's not dead, he's just dead drunk.
Manco.
Yeah, so who has been lying there the whole time. Other thoughts? It's an odd little beast, isn't it, Eric?
Yeah, I was trying to work out how this is linked to Christmas. I mean, there's a part of me thinking there must be a part 2, but maybe that's just me.
There is no part 2.
Just because but it was fun, and also I'm trying to work out how and why Spiggot agreed to marry Swallow. It just was like, why? Why would you do that? Yeah.
Yeah. Other thoughts? It's odd. But I've been relatively innovated. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the ride. Don't know what it's for, but I've enjoyed it. Tom.
Oh, there was some fantastic. The beginning and the end were a little bit flat, but the middle, some of those characters, and the it went along fantastically well in the middle. Great characters, beautifully performed, I might say, and very, very entertaining, and that's something we shouldn't lose sight of, that entertainment.
And it is an event. I mean, this whole thing about I mentioned the Christmas Prince, and the play has the prince there. This presumably is sort of like for the revels, there is a prince who is elected for the Christmas season, and they're sort of nominally in charge of things, and so he's part of the narrative, but he's also part of the audience, and he's like this sort of official fun figure. So it's like dressing some poor sod up as Father Christmas and plonking them down and making it watch, and there are other earlier traditions, of electing figures who are in charge of revels. So this is obviously a university variant on it. Desna.
So one thing that strikes me about the end is they kind of have the what's his name, the justice lawyer person sort of questioning everyone, but we have no final judgment at the end. Is that something that the princes appealed to for, or?
Yeah, well, presumably.
Or is that the cliffhanger? Yeah.
I'm assuming that at this point that the Christmas Prince makes a decision as to what happens, and whether that was scripted. I say I don't think we have that or not. We do have within the wider text of this whole Revels an account of how this went down, and there might be some more. There might be closing speeches and additional stuff that we'll do in a separate session. All I will say, however, about how this went down, I will give you an outline as to how well this show went. It's not the first of the Revels season. Oh, sorry, Liza, do you want to leap in before I do that?
I do. I mean, you were talking about the ending, and I think the ending makes this a protest play. That truth, that there is that at the end truth gets to speak, but there's no justice. There's no justice done. And also Veritas doesn't end up with Studioso like we all thought she would. That she returns to the corrupted life because there is no choice but corruption unless someone in power breaks the cycle. So it's, the ending is the world is still fucked up unless you unfuck it. Having said that, I'm interested to know how this turns out.
So the Christmas Prince was a chap called Thomas Tucker. And you have all of these various things. I say it was performed on Friday the 1st of January, which is still 1607 because, of course, New Year isn't until March. Well, it went a bit wrong. The prologue forgot his lines. Now
there are only like 6 lines.
I know there weren't many lines. And I don't know whether the script we've got is a record of how much he got out, or not, because it wasn't very long. But yeah, apparently he had to be prompted, and then was not very good for the rest of the show. I don't know who he doubled as, because I say I'm just looking at a synopsis here, and so that went very badly. The actor playing Goodwife Spiggot decided to come on early and basically started making some and sort of just getting in the way of other people trying to do stuff. Swallow, who everyone thought was going to be great in rehearsals, decided to make some stuff up and added to his part. And you can see with Swallow how the actor could be tempted to do that. And apparently everyone got really bored because he wasn't very good in performance. So also the stage was too small, so there wasn't enough room for everyone at the end. Basically people liked Time. He was apparently good performance for Time. But the show went so badly that they did actually consider cancelling later Revels events in this part of this season. Basically, it was not a good time. I say we will go into all of this in detail in a future session. We don't really have time to go into this now. And I say hopefully we will eventually stitch all of these pieces together and create a sense of a unity and a logic to it all. But I say this is just our initial sort of skirmish. Anyone want to throw in any additional final thoughts before I close the session? I'm not going to impose going all around you. Eric?
I have to admit the truth at the end reminded me a bit of like that friend who kind of has seen so many series or soaps that they kind of like, oh yeah, he's in love with her and he's in love with him, and it like spoils the ending, and Time's just like, what am I supposed to do with that, huh? I'm going to ask the prince. That's how I pictured it. But I mean, I think Liza's version makes more sense.
Apparently the audience also expected this to be a slightly more meaty play. There was going to be a bit more going on. Slightly less slight than what they got. Audience expectation. You've got to manage that. They turn up for one thing and they get something else. Bad stuff happens. Any more for any more? No. Right. Well, next up, I think in this sequence, will be the 7 days of the week as part of this. And so there are some Latin plays as well, which in much further in the future we'll hopefully have a little look at. And there's another, there's a tragedy as well, I think, that follows as well. I can't remember if there's a tragedy. There are three plays from within this that are in English that we can look at. So, but for now, all that remains to thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.